Topic 3, Lesson 1. So 3.1 is on understand relations and functions. A relation is any set of ordered pairs, and a function, each input has exactly one output. We'll be talking more about this as we go along, but I wanted to give you some definitions so you had an idea of what we were talking about before we get going into this too much. So on page 159, 10 members of the photography club want to raise $500. So they will hold a raffle with donated prizes. Jesse proposes to reach their goal. Each member should sell 50 raffle tickets. Alexis proposes each member should raise $50. Whose plan would you recommend and explain? So if we look at the information here, there's different options. So one ticket is $1, or people could get 6 tickets for $5 or 25 tickets for $20. So the question is, would you recommend people selling 50 raffle tickets or raising $50 to make this happen? So if people bought the 25 ticket bundle for $20, technically if we sold that to a person, sold that again to another person, that would be 50 raffle tickets would only be $40. If each person only sold $40, we have 10 people, that'd be $400, not $500. So actually the better method, like Alexis said, would be to make sure each person is collecting at least $50. So look at example 1. Jonah is shipping 5 boxes for his uncle. Each box is the same size but a different weight. The cost to ship each box is shown. Should Jonah expect that the cost to ship a 15-pound box will be a unique cost? So if you look, all these different weights and kind of a generalization, if we start with the lowest weight here, 8 pounds is $8.56. Then 9 pounds is $8.72. 10 pounds is $9.01. 12 pounds is $9.55. 14 pounds is $10.03. So looks like each of those costs is different, and it looks like the heavier the package is, the more it costs to ship, which makes sense. Okay, so the book said one option here, they said organize these using ordered pairs. So they said the weight is the input and the cost is the output. So we start with, how much does it weigh, and then we can figure out how much it's going to cost. So this is a set of ordered pairs, so this is called a relation like we talked about before. One thing we could do, we can make an arrow diagram to match the inputs to the outputs. And when we make an arrow diagram, as long as an input is only going to one output, then we have a function. So like we mentioned earlier, we have a function. Each input is assigned to exactly one output. Okay, so this would be a function, and so we expect the cost of shipping a 15-pound box would be a unique cost. One example I give when we talk about functions is kind of like if you're baking something. So if you put the ingredients together and you're going to make meatloaf, you put the ingredients for meatloaf together, you put it in the oven, when it comes out you're going to get meatloaf. You're not going to get meatloaf or cookies. Certain ingredients, you're going to get just one certain thing out of the oven when you're done. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's the idea here. Input, like if 8 is my input, what they have here in the book is good, but if this went, let's say if 8 pounds costs either $8.56 or $8.72, that's two different outputs for the same input. That would not be a function. Okay? That would be like having the same ingredients, but I might get two different things when I open up the oven at the end. Okay? Doesn't work. Not a function. So to try it, Joe needs to advertise his company. He considers several different brochures of different side lengths and areas. He presents the data as ordered pairs, side length, comma, area. Complete the arrow diagram. Is the area of a brochure a function of the side length, and explain. So basically we're just taking the points they give us. The first point is 424. So on the left, these are my inputs. So I don't see a 4 there yet, so we can put a 4 there. And that's going to go to 24. So we draw an arrow from the 4 to the 24. 5 goes to 35. 8, I don't see an 8 yet, so we need to write an 8 as an input. 8 goes to 24. 2 goes to 20. They've already got that arrow drawn. And 9 goes to 27. Okay, so the question is whether this is a function or not. Basically, we're looking at if we have a certain input, does it only go to one output? So does 2 only go to one number, 4 only go to one number, 5 only go to one number, 8 only go to one number, and 9 only go to one number? If so, it's a function. If not, then it's not a function. So since each of these inputs, a certain input is only going to one output, then this is actually a function. Okay? So we could say yes, we could say each input only goes to one output, or something like that. Okay? A way to help you remember this is, some people look at this and they say, well, the 4 went to 24 and the 8 also went to 24. Here's my explanation. If you have two different inputs that go to the same output, that's okay. That would be like different ingredients and we get the same result. And you might say, well, that can't happen. Different ingredients and you get the same thing. Well, let's just say that we weren't specific about what thing we were getting. So let's say I'm making chocolate chip cookies and I'm making peanut butter cookies. Different ingredients, right? If generically I just said out of the oven I got cookies, I did get cookies with both of those. Okay? So let's say 4 is my chocolate chip cookies, 8 is my peanut butter cookies, and I said I got cookies out of the oven. That's okay. Alright, what can't happen is same ingredients and we get two different things. Okay? But if you have this option like the book has, this actually is okay. Just whatever we start with, input, can only go to one thing. So we'll look at example 2. Frank used a table to record the ages and heights of 6 students he tutors. Is the relation a function, and explain? Okay, so as we look over this, what you might notice, for example, the first person was 9 years old, they were 54 inches tall. The third person was 9 years old, they were 61 inches tall. So same age, in other words, same input, but two different outputs. So this is actually not a function. Okay? In other words, your age does not determine your height. Makes sense, right? Everybody's not the same height just upon how old they are. Okay? Also, we have an issue with the 8-year-olds here. Two different 8-year-olds that are also different heights. Okay, so definitely is not a function. So if we look at the try it, Frank reverses the ordered pairs to show the heights and ages of the same 6 students. Is the age a function of height? So this time, well, right off the bat here we've got a problem again, don't we? If our height is our input and the age is the output, 54 inches was a 9-year-old, 54 inches was a 10-year-old. So once again, no, this is not going to be a function. Okay, and again, basically the reason for that is because we had, you could just list it as ordered pairs if you want. We had a 54-9 and a 54-10. We had 2 different outputs with the same input. So it makes sense, just because you're a certain height doesn't necessarily say you're a certain age. It goes the other way as well. So the rest of them are okay. So actually, if it ended up that we didn't have 2 people that were 54 inches tall and different ages, this could have worked. But in this case, with the information we have, we know that it is not a function. So example 3, Heather and her parents are going to the art museum for the day. The parking garage near the museum charges the rates shown in the sign. Is the cost to park a function of time, and explain? So if we look at the sign here, up to 1 hour is $5, up to 2 hours $10, up to 3 hours $15, and so on. So for an amount of time, like if I'm there for 52 minutes, I'm going to pay $5. So that's okay. That looks good. So that would be a function. And then part B, if they stay at the museum for 6 hours, should they expect to pay more than $25? 6 hours. This says only up to 5 hours is $25. So we're going to assume if they go more than 5 hours that would be more. They should probably put that on their sign, what that cost is going to be, but that would be a reasonable expectation. Okay? And then the try it, Heather claims she can tell exactly how long a family was at the museum by how much the family pays for parking. Is Heather correct? So for this, we would have to say no, that she's not going to be able to tell exactly how long they stayed. Parking rates here are based on the number of hours people are staying, not minutes. So just as an example, somebody that stayed for 10 minutes would pay $5. Somebody that stayed for 59 minutes would also pay $5. So we would know, like between how many hours they stayed, but we wouldn't know an exact amount of time of how long they stayed.